Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Richard Taylor back with another video. In this video, I'm going to share a portion of a message by my brother, Elder Mike Best, and he's talking about a subject matter that is very contradictory to what a lot of people believe. He's talking specifically to those who confess themselves as believers and believe that the Christian faith or the Bible is the sole authority. Now, everybody knows it's election time, so we always have these two candidates, and then, there's always a debate about who's better or who's worse. But my brother breaks it down, in which I've always questioned about how certain quote-unquote believers could support some things just because they don't like the other person, but the person that they do like supports things that are totally contrary to what God and the Bible says. But I'm going to let him break it down to you real quick. And this is my brother right here.
Missing. Sometimes we feel a certain way about certain things, and if we're not careful, how we feel could be on the opposing side of how God feels. And it's up to us to move in his direction and move according to his will and his way, regardless of how you feel about it. Regardless of how you feel about it. Like a prime example. I know I'm going to get in trouble with this. I get in trouble with this, but it is what it is. Like, okay, here's an example, like in our culture, for discerning certain things and then it conflicting with what we know to be right, but we got to follow after God. I remember like years ago, whenever Barack Obama was running for president, and I don't mean to get political, but we have to deal with certain political issues because the people that come that are a part of the fellowship and the people that are a part of the household of faith are affected by the things that happen in politics. So we have to address it to a degree to bring out a greater point or a greater level of understanding. When Obama was running for president, somebody's going to get mad. The views are already low tonight, but it's going to get real low.
I love my brother now.
Whenever he was running for president, those of us who were believers, it was our responsibility, if we were going to cast our lot for a particular person, our responsibility as a believer is to err on the side of righteousness, But because we were taken back by the fact that here is a man that we viewed as a black man who is about to become president, here's what we're going to do. Because he's about to become president and because he's black, we're not even going to consider what the platform is that he's running on. We're not even going to consider what his policies are. We're not even going to consider what his thought process is in terms of what we believe as Christians and what our faith represents. We're just going to ride with him just because he's black. We don't care what he believes. We don't care how he feels. But as time goes on, for those of us who are born again, who have God's Spirit will begin to cause us to discern certain things. And once we recognize that here is a man who has an agenda that to pass laws that conflict with the laws of God. So if he's going to push laws once he made the decision that he was going to push laws that sided with the LGBTQ community, that opposed creation and that opposed God and that went against what God knew was or what God had shown us to be right and righteous, we were going to continue to go along with that because our opinion was overriding what the will of the Lord actually was. And so what we did is that we said we're going to side with him just because he's black, even though discernment tells us what he's about to put in place is unrighteousness and violates what God has said is right. And so because we value our opinion and because we value our feelings over what God is showing us, then sometimes we find ourselves in a place of being guilty of violating God's will because we put more emphasis on how we feel in our opinion rather than allowing God's discernment to show us what is right and following after it. Yeah, and so what happens whenever that takes place, we cast our lot or we put our confidence in, or we literally go against God because we put ourselves in a position to side with those who make decision to do that which is ungodly.
Oh
And
my
we side
God.
with those that make the decisions to do that which is
Oh my
ungodly
God.
just because we put a greater emphasis on our opinion opposed to what God actually thinks about it. All right? So he had it in his heart to pass laws that oppose the laws of God. But we saw that. We recognized that. I believe that we were able to discern that. I believe that we saw what it was that was about to take place, but we ignored what was right in order to do what we felt like we wanted to do. And this is the reason why we said in our first point that discernment evokes responsibility. Because once God shows you a thing, regardless of whether or not you agree with it, you have to side with God, even if it means you going against the whole world. Yeah, even if it means going against the whole world. And so as believers, we have to be extremely...
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there because that's the part that I love my brother bringing to the light. Now, he was talking about the past president, Barack Obama, and how everyone, especially black people, was so enthralled by the fact of his speaking, and he was black, and, you know, he was the first quote-unquote black president. However, we were not cognizant or not discerning about some of the things that he will pass. Now, this video is not about the LGBTQ movement or, you know, whether that's right or wrong. We're talking about strictly the fact that believers who believe in the Bible and who believe in the Bible, the traditional marriage, the importance of the traditional man and woman family, the sanctity of life, all of those things. We're talking to those people who, once again, sided with the man, or we can go as far as siding with the party that pushes those things that are directly opposed to God's will. Now, we can even bring it towards today, right? Now, we all know these two political parties that we have. The Republicans are touted to be more conservative. They're pro-life for the most part, and, you know, they are pro-traditional family. Now, the Democrats, who they label as liberal, it's pretty much anything goes. You know, of course, he talked about the propagation or the pushing of the L through Z plus 1, 2, 3 community agenda that was started or promoted basically from what I noticed, that, you know, the Barack Obama administration passed several laws in promotion of that. And then it carries on, you know, towards today's, you know, transgenderism and all of those things, non-binary. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. But the Democratic Party supports those things, as well as they are a supporter of abortion, which, let's be honest, is child murder. We can debate whether life begins in the womb, all of those things, but the Bible specifically talks about child sacrifice. Now, you know, we can have that debate all we want to. You know, some people, you know, feel this way, but according to those who believe in the Bible and those who take the tenets of the Bible as serious as God's word and as commandments to live by, I think we would all agree that those actions are ungodly. So let me ask you, why would a person who served God cast their lot, as my brother said, for people who are pushing things that are ungodly? That has always been a mystery to me. And once again, he talks about people putting their opinions or their feelings. Most of the time it's feelings and emotional when we're dealing with political stuff and religion, let's be honest. Putting their emotions above what's godly or what's logical. We all know that the candidate we have now is Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, well, while Donald Trump says some things, he's not liked by many. He's brash. He's egotistical. He says some things. However, because many people don't like him, and of course, you can watch a different news station every day. One news station is telling you how good he is, and one news station is telling how bad he is, and vice versa. One news station is telling how good Biden is, and one news station is telling how terrible he is. So it depends on who you ask, which one is better or less than the other. But what my brother focused on was erring on the side of righteousness, right? Trump may be all of those bad things, but he's not pushing agendas and policy that promotes the destruction of the traditional godly family that is set forth in the Bible. He is not pushing the agenda of men not being men and women not being women, or even once again, he's not pushing the agenda of child murder. It's and we got these things of, it's pro-choice or you're pro-life. No, you're either pro-life or you're pro-death. And these are not the words of my brother. Let me put that disclaimer out. He doesn't even know I'm doing this, but I know he's the type that'll stand on what he said. So all of this commentary is my own commentary, piggybacking off my brother's message. So anything that's in this video does not reflect the opinions of my brother Mike Best or his church or his family, except what you heard. So, and I'm pretty sure my brother's going to see this, and that's why I'm trying to make this as clear and concise as possible. But that has always been a question to me, where I hear several preachers talk about how bad Trump and the Republicans are, but the Democrats are pushing agendas and passing laws that are in direct conflict or contrary to what you're supposed to be preaching against. So, what are we doing? Leave your comment. No, leave your commentary in the comments, because a lot of people are once again waking up saying, okay, well, and that I probably have to do a whole nother video about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, but just this particular subject matter of how we are voting for things as believers or people who believe in the Bible. We are voting for things in people who are pushing things that are in direct contrast to the Bible. So, and as my brother said, we are in direct opposition to God and the Bible when we do that. But however, people are so fixated on emotional or opinions or information they get from news sources about how bad one particular group of people are, but then, like you said, we'll ignore the bad that this other group is just because of emotions, of feelings. But 919-587-7782, leave your comments in the comment section. This is definitely a discussion. I'm glad my brother was brave enough. He even mentioned before we started, I'm going to get in trouble with this one. He literally said, I'm going to get in trouble with this one. And so God bless my brother. This is something I got to share, and it's live on Facebook. So this is a public, and this is fair use as well. Facebook and YouTube, fair use. This is for educational and commentary purposes only. So I just wanted to share that video. I was listening to my brother driving down to Wilmington the other day, and I said, man. And he also goes on to talk about Tyler Perry and how he fooled the whole church into accepting, once again, the cross-dressing, but man, go back and listen to my brother's message, Elder Mike Best, on Facebook Live. I think the date was March 25th. If you go look my brother up, man, he brings it real, but he also brings the unpopular, the uncomfortable conversations that we all need to hear. Because what are we doing? Really, what are we doing? We're having the form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Like you said, you got to err on the side of righteousness, no matter how alone you're gonna be, or if you got to go against the whole world. Remember, that's what Jesus was. Jesus was not liked in his lifetime. As well as Martin Luther King, as well as many other people, many other prophets in the Bible were put to death. They were not liked because they called people out on their unrighteousness, and they stood on the side of righteousness in the face of unrighteousness. So that is what we have to do. I shout out to my brother for sharing that information. I can go on and on about this subject, but I just want to send you that little tidbit right now, since it's election time. And since it's, this very emotional time, and, everybody, Trump is going to put us back in slavery, and the Republicans are evil, and all of those sensationalized, hyperbolic, emotional statements that are made in support of one and in defense of the other, or the degradation of the other and the upliftment of the other. But once again, I'm a very logical individual. It's very seldom that I let emotions guide my actions or my thought process. But when we have these political conversations, a lot of people throw logic out the window and deal in emotions, feelings, and also, as my brother said, opinions. But peace and blessings to all humanity. Peace and love. 919-587-7782. Peace.